Hi, this is Mitch. It's Wednesday, October 8th. How about Troy last night? We loved them last night, and they really came through for us. It was exactly how we called it. It was a mismatch, and the score sure showed it. You could talk about turnovers, you could talk about flags and all that stuff, but that's all part of the game when we're calling it. Florida Atlantic's been turning the ball over all year. Troy has turned the ball over somewhat, but it come down to raw statistics. It was definitely all Troy's game to win, and they sure did it exactly, pretty much exactly how we said they were gonna, and it was never even close. We didn't sweat that one bit. Let's hope we can get some more games like that. It's always nice to start the week 1-0. It seems like we've been digging ourselves out of a hole a few times this season. Let's move on to a couple of games that I talked about in the blog. We don't have any games tonight, so no pressure to talk about anything in general. So we're just going to stick to a couple of games in the blog that I really like. I really like Western Michigan getting the points against Buffalo. This game started out as pick'em, and the money's coming in on Buffalo. I don't see it. Buffalo has the 110th ranked pass defense in the country. Western Michigan has one of the top passing offenses in the country. They should be able to lay seriously 50 to 60 points on them. No problem. If Buffalo can keep up with them, well, then that's good for them. I just don't see it. I don't see the disparity going the other way quite as much. I see it one of those games where, maybe we see some back and forth scoring at first, but eventually, the one team that there's just no stopping. It just seems like, the punters aren't going to get a lot of work in that game. Another game that I'm kind of liking is the TCU game against Colorado State. TCU I was down on this year. Colorado State I was down on. These are two teams that I really didn't have much for. Of course, they both have winning records at this point. And, Colorado State's even up against the spread. TCU, the only time they haven't covered was against Oklahoma. TCU, surprising to most people, I'm sure, they have the #1 rushing defense in the country. Colorado State relies on the run. This is, textbook mismatch. It's a strength of one team, which is pretty strong, against the strongest in the entire country of any team. Doesn't shape up well for the Colorado State Rams. People might say I'm still holding a grudge over the Sonny Lubick firing. Maybe I am, but you don't need to hold a grudge to like TCU in this one, because they sure look pretty good. The other game that I'm really looking at also is Minnesota Golden Gophers getting 12 against Illinois. I've been going with more favorites this week, and ironically I'm talking about two dogs here in the video, but Minnesota getting 12. This might be one of those games where they kind of score back and forth. You get into a high-scoring game, and maybe Illinois pulls it out at the end. They haven't been overly impressive in their victories, except for, of course, last week at Michigan. And, they've been inconsistent, which is a trademark of a Ron Zook team. Inconsistency is what he's consistent at. So, 12 points against an inconsistent team, I'll take a shot at it. I'm not huge on that game, but I certainly I like my chances. 12 points against a Ron Zook inconsistent team. I think Illinois probably gets the win. They're one of the better teams, and as anyone that read my preseason previews, I know I didn't agree with most people, and I had Juice Williams right on top of my Heisman list, and I know it was a little ambitious, and maybe a year ahead of myself, but I still feel that the Juice is one of the best players out in the game today. In any event, we got two games tomorrow night. Wake Forest and Clemson is one of them, and we all know that I always have a lot to say when the Clemson Tigers are playing in a nationally televised game. So in any event, I'll be back tomorrow. This is Mitch, and thanks for joining me. I also just want to throw in, really briefly, you might want to sign up for my free newsletter. It's just more free picks, more in-depth analysis, and I kind of go into some of those real raw stats as to how exactly I come up with my picks. And the newsletter's been pretty good to us. So in any event, this is Mitch, and thanks for joining me. Have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow talking more college football.